Excellent. So am I. Great to be here. Thank you so much. Salt Lake City. Wow, such a beautiful city that I have not seen. I mean, it's incredible with the mountains and the lakes, and it's beautiful. I've got to come back here and get to see more of it. So you are so lucky and blessed, and thank you for having me in this amazing city of yours. It's beautiful. How you guys doing? Good? No, I just need to apologize to you. I'm just getting over a little bit of a lurgy, and so I'm permanently talking like Dredd. My brain ceases to function at any point. That is why it's not tequila or vodka or anything like that. You know. But anyway, let's get this show on the road. I'd love to answer all of your questions, or at least some of them. Well, a couple of them. Let's get it on. How are you, sir? Ma'am. I was looking at the guy. Ma'am, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here by yourself. Okay, so my question is, I am under the understanding that while you were filming Return of the King, there was a part where, of course, Eowyn's been injured, and you were not written to be there while she's convalescing, and that you actually spoke up and said, no, I love her, you know, we're family, I would be there, and they kind of added you in. Have you ever gone to the production team of any other show and said, no, really, I kind of think this is more the direction my character would have gone. Can we do it this way? Can we add me in? Whatever. Have you ever had any of those other moments?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's a great question. Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, you constantly, when you are working on a television show or a film, you know, you're constantly faced with situations like that. And, you know, I think it's a certain part of my responsibility is to, you know, present this character as in the best possible way that I can, and as multi-dimensional I can. If I think that, you know, there is something missing on the page, then I'm not afraid to go up to whoever and say, there's something missing on the page. And as a result, a lot of great stuff has come from that. And you know, and certainly in that instance, you know, working with Peter Jackson and all of that cast and crew from Lord of the Rings was one of the most amazing experiences of my career. And the great thing about Peter Jackson is he's available. And if you have something that you'd like to discuss pertaining to your character or whatever, then he's there for you. And one of the most talented directors, open directors and collaborative directors that I've ever worked with. Thank you for your question. Ma'am, how are you?
My name's Sonia, and
Correct.
my best friend Simone. We're a huge
Simone, what's up?
Fans, and we were wondering, because there's so many similarities between your bones and DeForest Kelly's, how much research went into that, like, just in how you were moving and how you were talking and moving the hair and everything, because...
You've got that down. You've been watching DeForest as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Yeah, look, I'm no different than you guys. I'm a long-term fan of, well, all things science fiction. And certainly, when I was growing up, Star Trek was huge for me. I loved it. You know, when my son was about 6 years old, I got the box set of the original series and showed it to him, and he just thought it was hilarious. I mean, he loved it, but he just thought, you know, that it was hilarious. He's like, Dad, look at the bridge. They've got posters instead of plasma screens and computers. And they're looking at a poster and go, well, let's go there. He thought that was a cracker. And then a couple of years later, I found out that JJ was rebooting Star Trek, and so I just wanted to be a part of it. And I went and had a meeting with JJ, and I thought that I thought it was a terrible meeting. I went in there and he's, you know, sat me down, we chatted for literally 30 seconds, and he goes, so have you got any questions? And I said, yeah, what's the movie about? Because because I hadn't read any script. And he goes, "Can't tell you." So we sat there and I said, "Oh, well, I guess I've got no questions." And, "Great meeting you, see you." And I walked out of that going, "You could have thought of a question, just one question. What do you put in your hair?" Anything. Yeah, and we sort of heard a little while later from that he invited me to read for the character of Bones, and which I did. I didn't have to go back and re-watch the series. I guess I just sort of, by process of osmosis, had absorbed, what I felt the character was or needed to be. I did it. I did one take, and I was halfway through the take, and I hear this laughter, and I'm thinking, what the hell is that? And I realize it's JJ, and he's laughing at what I'm doing. And it just about threw me. I just about forgot what my lines were, because I hadn't done theatre in a long time. And at the end of it, he said, "Wow, yeah, that's great. That's Bones." And he looked behind at Brian Burke and the casting director, and everyone was like, "Yeah." And I knew instantly when I walked out of the room that I'd nailed it. And thank you. Yeah. And it was, there's certain points in your career where you just, it doesn't get any better than that. And to me, that was it. It was one of those points where you set yourself up for something, you go for it, and you knock the ball out of the park. And I feel so blessed to have been invited into the Star Trek family to partake in these movies, because they're so much fun. And the people who work on these movies are just really lovely, great, funny, witty, smart people, except for John Cho. And I love John Cho. Got many tales, which I can't tell you about John Cho. Yes, I can. Yeah, meandered off somewhere. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you. Ma'am. No, sir. I'm having problems with my left today.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, how are you?
So, just gotta say, you are my wife's favorite actor. She didn't get a chance to tell you that yesterday, but thank you for letting her kiss you on the cheek and, winking her during the photo op. She can't stop shutting up now, so thanks.
I apologize. I mean, I don't care, but I apologize.
So I gotta ask you,
I do care.
I know at MegaCon you said with Dredd 2 and Almost Human the second season, I don't know, you don't know the status of that, but if Almost Human, heaven forbid, doesn't go another second season, would you be willing to do another TV series? Because it makes my wife happy seeing you every week.
Thank you so much. It's lovely of you. I've been thinking about this, another TV series. You know what? I love working on Almost Human. I love working with Mike Leahy and that crew. And everybody involved with it. We had to go and do films. I'm going to be with my family. So no disrespect to television, because I love it, but it's a different beast. They don't tell you that when you sign the contract. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Pond.
That's me.
Come on, who's a Doctor Who fan? I love Doctor Who so much. I tried to get into Doctor Who, and they offered me this part, and I couldn't do it because I was doing Dredd, but I so want to be in it, and I can't wait to see what Peter Capaldi does. I think he's going to be phenomenal. See, I'm just like you.
Well, my name isn't Amy, it's Shelby, and I'm from Georgia. And yours is the only Southern accent I've ever actually believed, and I wanted to know how you did that.
Whiskey. No. Seriously, it's like, dialect is like any element in film that you have to, you need to distracted by you, sir. Can you please take that lens out of my face? Bless you, though, I do appreciate it. I cannot multitask. I am a man. Every guy knows that's a lie. So what was your question again, sorry?
I wanted to know how you had such a believable.
Yeah, the dialects, thank you. Yeah, no, it's like any element in that you have to learn, whether it's, riding horses or shooting guns, whatever it is, diving. You have to commit time and energy into learning how to do it, and dialect is no different. I worked with a dialect coach, very, very reputed dialect coach named Michael Buster. He's phenomenal. I've worked with him a bunch of times, and we worked on it. And for me, the character of Bones, I just felt that's because there's an element of his voice which is kind of comes from a bit of a cantankerous raspiness. So you put that into the mix with the dialect, and then also D. Kelly, while he was definitely, he's obviously from the South. When he went to LA, in certain things you see, he sort of modulated his accent a little bit, and it would particularly come out when he was angry. And then as his career went on more and more, then he sort of let it, I guess, revert back to what it was. Right, but I had to infuse these elements and incorporate it into a younger version of what I thought that character would be, and make it my own, and hopefully I got enough of D in there, and thank you. Hey, gorgeous, how are you? Can't stand the sight of me.
Okay, I have to ask a question first, apparently. So, I was wondering what your favorite episode of Doctor Who was, and who's your favorite Doctor?
I love the writing, Russell T Davies, the writing that was around for David Tennant. I love Borders of Mars. I think is one of the. I mean, what these guys managed to do in 45 minutes, which is basically what a TV show is once they put it, and with ads it adds up to an hour, is incredible. They really set the bar so high. And to me, Waters of Mars is the perfect example of an action-packed, heartfelt, character-driven show. I thought that was brilliant. The library was brilliant. I loved the Matt Smith episode where the TARDIS comes to life in the form of a girl. That was brilliant. It's just such an amazing show. I better get myself on there. I better go. I'll make a call too. Thank you for your question. This is good stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're so beautiful, gorgeous. Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, you're just going to have to wait because I'm going to go to here. It was mean. I'll be right with you. G'day, gorgeous. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Are you trying to get on the next Star Wars movie? Because if then, you'd be in every geek show known to man.
Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that Spielberg, Lucas generation of films that I grew up watching is, for me, it doesn't get any better than that. I just love that world, and I would love to be a part of it. But I also feel that if I'm in a Star Wars film and I'm too recognizable, then it just for me, I just feel like, in terms of like, what is Bones doing in Star Trek? And I wouldn't want to do that to the fans. So out of respect for you guys and out of respect for me, I don't think I'd do it unless I could wear like a helmet or something, or prosthetics or something that would, you know, or to be a damn good makeup job. Yeah, I'd love to be in it. Thank you for your question. Sir, actually, I'm just going to go over here and... What about you, sir?
How are you?
Very good, how are you?
Good. So first of all, I just wanted to know if there's any plans to bring Star Trek back onto TV. I mean, I love the JJ movies. I think they're fantastic, but honestly, it belongs back on television and not just the big screen. And then I was also wondering if you could say green-blooded hobgoblin.
Green-blooded hobgoblin. Thank you. That's a great question. Yeah, you're right. There should be a Star Trek on television, and I think after we do this next movie, you're going to see a Star Trek on television. It won't be with us, but it'll be. I would assume a new iteration, a new version of it in whatever shape or form that takes on. But yeah, it's great. Like I loved watching the original Star Trek, Next Gen, Voyager. I loved all of those shows, and it would be great to see it back on TV again. Yeah. Let's hear it for that. Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well. Well, a little bit sick. Worse.
So I just want to know, do you have any embarrassing audition stories you can tell us?
Well, embarrassing audition stories. Yeah, well, I mean, I remember when I was very young, very early on in my career, and it was my first time auditioning for, it was an American TV show that was shooting in New Zealand, and I thought that I'd improvise a little bit. And so I went in there, and every second word I swore. I cussed and swore, because I thought that's what Americans do. They were like, no. No, they called up my agent and said, don't tell your client never do that again. That was really bad. So yeah, that was embarrassing at the time. Lesson learned. Thank you for your question. Hey, how are you?
Doing well, you?
Very good. Priest?
I said I.
Correct. What's up?
In relation to you, how tall is Lucy Lawless?
I think we're roughly the same height, I believe. She's a tall girl. She's over 6 foot. Yeah, she's incredible. I remember the first Hail Caesar. I've invented a new salad. I remember the first time, working with Lucy, and we were doing a scene. I hadn't seen her in a full Xena regalia yet, and she came on set, and I was just absolutely awestruck. She had such an incredible power and presence, and for me as a young actor, she was such an inspiration for not only her work, but the way that she conducted herself through that whole 5-6 year period where she was doing Xena. She was a true inspiration to not only myself, but countless other actors and crew members and New Zealanders. And so yeah, I feel she's definitely in my thoughts when, for example, I'm on the set of Almost Human and I'm looking at the clock and I know that we've got to start moving it, and she would periodically go, "Come on, people, lots to do, let's go," and in a nice way, that sort of energize the set, and I would do that too, and that directly comes from her. Thank you. Hey, how are ya?
How are you?
Worse.
My name is London, and my question is, are we going to see more of Vaco in our our next Riddick?
What the fuck do you think? It's a bad joke. But it was free. Yeah, look, hey, if they make another Riddick and they invite me to be a part of it again, I would love to. I have such a huge admiration and respect for Vin and David Toohey. I love the character, I love what they do, and I wouldn't hesitate. I'd go for it, you know. It's always fun working with those guys, and Vin is one of the most gentle giants, caring, altruistic, smart actors that I've ever worked with, and I wouldn't hesitate working with him again any day. Ma'am, how are you?
Well, thank you. My name is Layla, and you weren't able to do this yesterday, but my little brother's getting married next week, and I was wondering if you could say congratulations to him and his wife, so I can record it.
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you.
Maybe you want to point it at the big screen there.
My husband is also recording.
You sort of point it at the big screen and I'll shoot it down the barrel. How that? And then you let it both ways. What are their names?
Derek and Ari.
Derek and Ari. Are they getting married?
Yes.
Okay. Hey Derek, Ari, I'm Karl Urban. I just want to wish you all the best for your wedding, and it's not too late. You guys are like, I can't believe he said that! Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. On The Lord of the Rings, when you were doing the training, which was more grueling, the horse work or the sword play?
I love sword play. You people. I trained for about 6 weeks riding on horseback to get to the level that Eamon needed to be at, and then continue to train after that while we were filming. And that wasn't so grueling. I really enjoyed that. The sword play can be grueling, especially when you're fighting in that armor. And those Wetter boys, they didn't make it out of plastic. They made it for real. And what I learned is you don't want to do a sword fight right after lunch. That doesn't work. So yeah, it's actually always the physical stuff, the fighting and the sword fight. That's taxing for sure. But you know, I enjoy doing it. I like getting in there. I think why let somebody else have all the fun? And it's important for me to actually be in the picture and for people to see me doing that stuff. I gotta confess, I have stabbed stuntmen accidentally before. You know, you think I'm joking, I'm not. I shot this movie where the guy was riding along on horseback and I shoot an arrow at him, he falls off in the mud, and then I'm supposed to leap on top of him and stab him with this rubber knife. And it's kind of like one of those composite plastic knives. So it's rubber, but it's still, you know, sharpish. And so he came barreling along on his horse, I shot him. He fell off and this mud went in my eye, and instead of stopping, like sort of blinked the mud out, and then I leapt on top of him, but I couldn't see properly, and then I went to stab him, and I stabbed him in the arm. And yeah. And so I bought him a bottle of whiskey. Yeah, so, hey, he's got a great tale to tell. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. TARDIS.
Yes.
How are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Very good.
So real quick, I was just going to say, if you could just be the next Doctor for Doctor Who, that would be awesome. Not gonna be But anyway, I was going to say I have quite an admiration for your ability to, you know, do all your different accents and dialects and everything like that. Sorry, thank you. And so I was wondering how many different accents you speak, and I mean not accents, I'm sorry, languages, and if you like to share, perhaps your German by any chance.
How many different accents do I speak? I really am a bit of an idiot. I only speak one language, and that's English. Well, I butcher it naturally because I'm from the Antipodes. I speak fragments of other languages, ja, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Jawohl. I don't know what you were doing, but it irritates me. That's from Schindler's List. I love it. I play this game when I'm working with, and it's like you do a line from a movie, and that person, your actor you're working with, has to guess what that line is. And it takes a lot of time. It's fun. So, thank you for your question. Guten Tag, mein Freund, wie geht's? Du bist so funky today.
You sound like Ray Fiennes, which in Schindler's List, which scares me a little bit. But that kind of leads into my two-part question, but I'll keep it quick.
Oh, great. A two-part question.
Well,
Just kidding. Go.
As an actor myself, I've really been amazed by your ability, not only with Bones, but in Comanche Moon, when you stepped into the Tommy Lee Jones role, how you become D. Kelly and Tommy Lee Jones, but as you said before, you still have to make it your own character. How do you balance those two, the element of the homage to them with keeping the character your own?
That's a great question, thank you. Very tricky. I got to confess, the whole time during shooting the first Star Trek movie that we did, I was an anxious, nervous wreck because I did not know where the line was. I wasn't going to rushes and watching my performance, and it was kind of scary because I didn't know if what I was doing was where it needed to be. And I certainly didn't want to do an imitation, but I wanted to, incorporate those elements and infuse them into what a younger version of the character was. So that was, to me, it was a pretty sort of scary time. But I think that's where you get the best results. When you kind of force yourself out of your comfort zone and you're standing on the edge of that precipice, and that you take big risks. And that's, for me, I think where you get the biggest rewards. And I can say the same thing about doing Dredd. Thank you. I mean, that to me, I had never done anything where, pretty much my entire face was covered. And then how do you give a performance? How do you convey an emotion like hope or trust or disapproval and have that come across? And so that was a huge challenge, and it's certainly, what I've learned is that you have to just give over to it, and then you just have to go for it. And I think that's just true in life. It doesn't matter whatever it is you do. I think as long as you invest in yourself and invest in your craft, the more energy you put into whatever you do, the more results, the better results that you're going to get. So just go for it.
The second part of my question, I just recently this week, researching, found out that, like me, you're a big Indiana Jones fan. And recently there was a totally false rumor on the internet about an Indiana Jones reboot. But
With Bradley Cooper?
With Bradley Cooper,
Yeah.
right. But hypothetically speaking, given your ability to step into characters like that, if they did reboot Indiana Jones, do you think you could step into the fedora?
Oh, dude, those are some pretty big boots. I mean, Harrison Ford, come on. He's, again, I have such admiration and respect. And, I don't know how Matt Smith did it, but he did it so brilliantly well to step into those shoes after David Tennant. I just don't know how to answer that question. Because obviously part of me would go, that'd be interesting, that'd be a challenge. But another part of me is like, there's only one Indiana Jones, and that's Harrison Ford. Hey, how are you?
I'm great now, thank you. Forgive me, I've been a fan for 17 years, so I have two.
I forgive you. I'm so sorry. You know, you can take pills for that.
I have two quick questions. My first one is, I wanted to know your first reaction when they called you back to play Cupid, in contrast to Caesar, which was two very different roles. And then my second question is, buying that movie with Danielle. I want to know your experience on that because I love her and I love you. So.
Well, thank you so much. We're talking about Xena Warrior Princess. It's a great little TV series we did down in New Zealand back in the 90s. I'm not going to do it. Well, interestingly enough, the first thing I did the role of Cupid, and it was off the back of that work that Rob Tappert invited me to play Caesar. And he's great. I mean, he's such a great. He was the producer of Xena and actually directed that episode. Husband of Lucy Lawless, incredibly smart guy, and we're into the same things. But he was very into, the history of Rome, and he recommended I read Colleen McCullough's books that she wrote about that period, which I did, which I absolutely loved. And I think that was also his inspiration for the Spartacus series. And so, for me, it was a case of, while I was doing Cupid, it was an interesting lesson actually, because I had this prosthetic wings glued to my back. They designed a costume where I could not go to the toilet for the duration that I was in it. And it was hard. I would actually have, at the end of 2 or 3 days of shooting, I had blisters on my back because those things were literally glued. And I just made the conscious decision not to complain, not just be positive, just remain positive. And what I found was, by putting all that positive energy out, it came back to me tenfold. And on the back of that, I got offered Xena, and it was a really important kind of lesson for me in my life. And I got offered, sorry, did I say Xena? Caesar. And did I ask you a question?
The price of milk with Danielle.
Price of milk! I love the price of milk! Yes. Woo! Price of Milk was a film that I did in New Zealand, and it was actually the film that Peter Jackson saw and decided to put me in Lord of the Rings. And that film we shot 3 days a week over the course of this most beautiful summer in New Zealand. And we got the scripts on the morning, and kind of made it up as we went along. The director did. He wrote it as he went along. Harry Sinclair, very talented guy, needs to be making films. And it was just the most sort of wonderful, magical experience, and it kind of predates the whole Flight of the Conchords thing, and the humor's pretty similar in many different ways. And so what can I say? A great experience. Thank you. All right. How are you?
You've got to play a lot of cool characters and wear a lot of cool costumes throughout the years with Lord of the Rings and Star Trek and Dredd and Almost Human. If you had to choose your next project just on the costume you're going to wear, what would you choose? Maybe something fantasy or sci-fi, or what would you go with?
I'd go with Battlestar Galactica. No, I seriously would. I love that reboot of Battlestar Galactica. I mean, I like the original, but that Ron Moore series was incredible. And I'm glad that you're a fan, because it was funny because I started, my son was a huge Stargate fan. And he's 13, and I thought, right, he's old enough now. I said, you think that's good? Watch this. And he started watching it. We started watching it last week, and he is hooked. Now I'm hooked back into it. And it was funny, I was on the plane coming here to Salt Lake, and I'm like marathoning BSG, and I get an email, and it's from Aaron Douglas, and he goes, are you 2 rows in front of me watching my show? Yes.
I hear they may be making a movie. If they do, you better be in it.
Come on. I would love to. But again, it's hard because I think that those guys don't go anywhere. I think those guys did such a phenomenal job. It's such a wonderful iteration of, you know, that whole concept. And I don't know how you would attempt to tell that story or a fraction of that story in a 2.5-hour movie. You know, that's made for TV, and you know that journey as it unfolds. I think it belongs on TV. Not to disrespect anything that anyone's going to do in the movies. I'm sure it's going to be brilliant, but you know, I don't know. Maybe they're planning to, you know, make James Bond out of it and have it running for 20 years or whatever. But I love Battlestar Galactica. There you go. Are we out of questions?
We're actually right at the end of time. Can you guys give a big warm round?
I don't want to go.
Thank you.